Aragi-san Plaza was packed with people as usual, and I couldn't tell how many of those were here for the audition.
いよいよか。荒木さんプラザがいつも以上にでっかく見えるよ。
She tilted her head back to look up at the building. Is the event hall up top?
地下。
That makes sense. Oh, so her staring upward was kind of pointless. Hey, when it's over, you don't have to go home right away or anything, do you?
今日はお仕事もないし。
Okay, well, I want to take you somewhere after.
どこ？
Well, you can just look forward to it.
じゃあそれを楽しみにしてオーディションに臨もうかな。
See, this is kind of a role reversal, right? Where Yuna's the dense one in this relationship and not Yuta. Yeah, go for it.
頑張ります。
Yu-chan clenched her fists in cute determination. If she wanted to pass it, then I wish she could achieve would achieve that outcome. Well, hang around in the cafe over there.
終わったらすぐにメール入れるね。荒木サンプラザなら地下でも入るから。じゃあ、行ってきます。
Knock him dead. I waved to her, and she disappeared into the building. Compared to when we left the house, her anxiety had waned since then. Okay then. The entrance to the plaza was easy to spot from the cafe. I took a seat by the window. Now I was the one who was nervous. I memorized the map on my phone just in case, so I wouldn't get lost going to the park later. If we had to wander around trying to find it, it would kill the mood. This is weird. Yu-chan said it would be over by 8 PM, and it was 5 minutes to 8. I looked repeatedly, but I had no text message from her. 8 PM is the very end, right? Even if she was the last one up, she would be finished before then. I thought that's how it would go. This is so weird. Well, I suppose it was possible for it to go over. Very possible. I think you need to understand, Yuta. 8 PM is just an estimation, right? If they're going through all of the auditions in one day, then you can't. It's more of it's 8 PM if we get the expected amount of people auditioning that we think is going to audition. If there's a lot more people who are going to audition than they think, then it's going to go over 8 PM, right? I didn't know if I explained it correctly, explained it well, but you get my point. But knowing Yu-chan, she would definitely send a mail right away. And it hadn't come yet. Maybe she isn't getting any reception down there. That is possible. Why did waiting for a mail that was supposed to come make me so antsy? I started sweating bullets, and I stared at my phone as 8 PM came. I couldn't wait a second longer, so I left the cafe in a flustered rush. I stood right at the entrance to the plaza and peeked inside. The stores were still open inside, but compared to when we came, there was only a fraction of the people. I looked at the directory near the entrance and saw that the event hall was on the first basement level. And the stairs down there, unlike the ones going up, were only open until 8 PM. What? Oh, so that's why it was supposed to end at 8 PM. But that doesn't matter now. Yu-chan was still supposed to be down there. My chest was fluttering. It was like a fire had been ignited inside of me. I was horribly uncomfortable. I then recalled what my friend had said before. He's got another magic touch, or so the rumors say. And apparently, a really famous producer is coming. I ran off in a hurry before I could finish imagining that scene. Probably a good idea. You don't want to be like... I forgot his name from Rent-A-Girlfriend who fucking... who fucking imagines himself getting cocked by... Mizuhara. I don't know why I'm blanking on her first name. Whatever. In Rent-A-Girlfriend. Whatever. 5 minutes prior to when Yuta left the cafe. Yuna's POV. Bro, it's the fucking casting couch. Yuna was confused with the unfolding events, or perhaps this was just the way they did it in the industry, as they kept saying. Oh boy. There was surprisingly few participants in the audition, and it finished up in about an hour. They said the results would be announced quickly, and instructed the girls to wait. And the only one to pass was Yuna. She could still feel everyone's eyes boring into her. Unlucky. Everything went okay, but the second audition started up right away. That wasn't written anywhere on the notice, but in the email, but Yuna wasn't in a position to doubt it. She didn't even have time to contact Yuta, as she was prepped for the next audition. She had to listen to their incessant droning about how they did it in the industry. I don't like where this is going.
今時のアイドルは大成するもしないもすべてはプロデューサー次第でしてね。というのはある種の素人っぽさ。
Once the second audition started, the rest of the staff left the room for some reason. The hustle and bustle from before seemed to belong to a different world, as the girls talked in a corner of the empty hall. It was mostly a one-sided talk, with the producer leading the conversation.
と言って言い過ぎであれば、普通っぽさが好まれているわけで。だから、その素材にどう味付けするかは、まさに腕の見せどころ。
Being alone with a famous person she had seen on TV was surreal.
AKG はまさにそういうコンセプトでね。だから未だに公募のオーディションを重視している。それでこの僕がこんなちんけな地方都市まで出張ったりするわけです。ちんけは出現。
This is the one time I wish I was able to voice the character, because I would have given him an even more sleazy voice than what he has right now. Because right now it's just old man voice, you know? She had thought at first that the gurgling gehe was him struggling to breathe, but it was just the way he laughed.
そうして全国至るところを歩き回って、学校で10番目くらいに可愛い女の子を集めたわけです。しかしまあ、ゆうなちゃんは
He trailed off, and his beady, thirsty eyes explored her body. We've discussed rippled through her.
一番かもしれないですね。ひなには稀なピーポー。いや、ひなは失言でした。しかしか。
It was a whole other sentence that didn't translate.
私の自意識過剰なのかな。さっきから目つきがいやらしいような。
Yuna nervously rubbed her knees together. She suddenly wished she had worn long pants. She looked over at the clock and saw it was exactly 8 p.m. But the producer seemed completely oblivious to the time. How long was this supposed to take?
ゆうなちゃんの芸名は何がいいかな？本名でもいいかな？白はせ。透明感があって、 ゆうなちゃんにはぴったりかもしれないですよ。
I will give them credit. The laugh, I wouldn't have been able to replicate. Well, if I was just given how it was spelled, I definitely wouldn't have been able to replicate it. But I can replicate the sound. You know, I can also do the. I can also sound like I'm dying.
私、
ああ、大丈夫、大丈夫。不安はわかります。みんな最初は怖がるもんですよ。最初はね。
What do you mean by that? No, I know what he means by that, but I don't want him to mean what I think he means. The producer leaned forward on the table, but Yuna put some distance between them.
しかしそこはこの油谷にドーンと任せてくれれば大丈夫です。ただし、それにはプロデューサーとの深い信頼関係が必要でしてね。
I was joking when I said this was a casting couch.
さっき言った大成するもしないも僕次第。それはその通り。しかし僕も万能ではない。たった一つ重要なことは。
He paused and stuck out a pudgy finger that resembled some sort of bug.
信頼関係。それなんですよ。二人のすべてを許し合うようなね。一連卓勝、一心合体、いや、同体。魚心あれば水心。ね？わかるでしょ？
No, I don't see. In fact, I'm blind in my left eye and 75% blind in my right. I don't. Or is it 45%? I don't remember the meme. Look, I know it is inappropriate, but I don't want to fucking think about what he wants to do to Yuna. That's for you to do, okay? She tilted her head, and his jovial expression up until this point suddenly took on a menacing hue.
これだけ言ってもまだわからないのか。これだから田舎娘は。
Now his tone matched his glare, and her heart started pounding with fear. Then, as if his cordiality, I don't know, was all a facade, he stood up suddenly and reached across the table to seize her. I mean, look, I understand that the visual novel's not going to go that far. They literally set up that Yuta's going to come in right before Grease, the fuck his name does to you before he does anything to Yuna. But like, still, she sprang up instinctively, but her wrist was caught in a vice grip and she couldn't stand.
英雄色を好むと言うじゃないですか。僕はまさにその通りでしてね。
With that, she comprehended where this was going.
やめてください。離して。
おとなしくしなさいよ。トップアイドルになりたいんだろう。
私、そんなの。
最初はみんな嫌がるんですよ。しかし、途中からまんざらでもなくなる。僕は結構なものの持ち主でしてね。それに世の中ギブアンドテイクです。最初はみんな嫌がるんですよ。しかし途中からまんざらでもなくなる。みんなそうでした。
Unfortunately, I had to play the whole thing again.
現実にスポットライトを浴びれば文句を言う気も失せる。意外に頑固な娘だ。だが小娘など扱いやすいもの、一発やれば従順になる。この僕のマラで。
With his free hand, he hastily tried to undo his pants, and Yuna unleashed a blood-curdling scream to save her life. That's not blood-curdling enough. Just then, there was a thunderous pounding on the door. Once he was distracted, she took the chance to dash away from the sofa, the casting couch. I stood in the empty hallway for a bit, unsure of what to do at first. This was definitely the event hall, but the door was locked, and there was a thick panel over it preventing me from looking inside. I figured they had moved to another location. I heard Yu-chan's terrified scream, and I started slamming my fist painfully on the door. The door immediately opened from the inside, and I barged in. Yu-chan! She flew into my embrace and tightly held onto me. Tears were welling up in her eyes. What the hell? Her face was chalk white, and she was shaking too violently to speak. I looked over Yu-chan's head and saw a man standing there that I had seen on TV before. He wasn't standing, but more leaning on the table with his hand. His pants were around his ankles.
No!
Now that I was here, he was speechless. I gently pried Yu-chan's hand off me and stomped over toward him. He was squirming in place, fumbling to get his pants back up. I took the chance to slug his fat, unguarded face. Oh no, I'd probably kick something that would do more harm to him than just his face. You know, he's got fat cover. he's got fat on his face to cushion some of the blow. You know, but his dick completely unguarded. His dick and ball. You know, he stumbled back against the wall and crumpled to the floor, sprawled out. I spun around and hurried back to Yu-chan. She immediately clung to me again. She obviously had a terrifying experience, and I didn't want to let go of me. Are you all right? I wiped her tears with my finger. Her face was contorted with pain. She nodded. A massive wave of relief washed over me. But we couldn't just stand here embracing one another like this for much longer. Let's get the heck out of here. Also, call the police, you know? Phew. Once we were out of the building, I felt like we had been released from a kind of hell. That was how I felt after a few minutes. I couldn't imagine how bad this ordeal had been for Yu-chan after so many hours. Big wet tears fell from her closed eyes. Yu-chan. Still clutching my arm tightly, she pulled a tissue out of her bag. She dabbed her eyes and it was soaked with tears right away. Her voice fell to a whisper and her shoulders trembled again. I could tell that passers-by were wrongly assuming that I was making her cry. It probably wasn't a good idea to get on the train in this state. Maybe we could go somewhere before going home. Oh, we haven't eaten dinner yet.
そうだ。ゆうくん。
Yu-chan took a deep, strong breath to steady her voice and stop her tears.
ほら、終わった後のお楽しみ。
Huh? Oh, right. I had entirely forgot about the traumatic event. Yeah, okay. I guess we can still go. Yu-chan's lips were quivering, but she managed to give me a strange smile. Terrifying the girl I liked to such an extent, a fresh wave of anger coursed through me again. But the lingering pain in my knuckles eased some of that anger. It was about a 20-minute walk to the Lookout Park from the station. I guess they didn't call the police. Yu-chan never let go of my arm for a moment. It resembled the way couples locked arms on dates, but the fearful grip she used made it completely different. It was like she was holding on for dear life.
やっと落ち着いてきた。
Once we were at the park, she finally regained her usual smile. She released my arm and stood in front of me.
ごめんね。歩きにくかったと思うけど。
Nah. She exhaled heavily, and then wiped under her eyes with the back of her hand. Her eyes were probably red and puffy, but it was too dark to tell.
本当にびっくりして。怖かった。
Not much of a commemoration, after all. I cautiously made light of the situation.
本当。
She stuck out her tongue.
ゆうくんがついてきてくれて、本当によかった。
I nodded. A shiver ran through my body, just briefly thinking of what might have happened.
ただ、それが参加する条件だったんだけどね。お父さんの。
Yeah. He was completely right about the things that would happen in the idol world. You didn't even make it out of auditions before experiencing it.
私は最初、過保護とか思ったんだけど、結果的には正しかったな。
I mean, she wouldn't have ever experienced it if it only happened after auditions, but still, that's just how worried he was. Or maybe he heard the rumors about grease fields before.
噂?
Nah. I shook my head. This wasn't a good subject to return to. Yu-chan, you were so adamant this time around. You ended up going through with it despite all he said. Was it because you wanted to get revenge for opening the envelope or something? I've never seen you so mad.
それもあるけど、それだけじゃないんだよね。
Because it was your only chance? She murmured, neither affirming nor denying. But neither of those were convincing reasons to me. At the end of the day, it was her choice, so I didn't prod more. But it's just not like her.
すごい。ここ夜景が綺麗なんだね。
She changed the subject with that and gazed over the city with her hand on the railing. It's my first time here too. It's crazy how nice it is considering its close proximity.
ゆうくんも初めて?
Yeah, it's not exactly a place that attracts groups of guys. She thought about that for a second, then squinted happily.
これを見せるために連れてきてくれたの?
Yeah, that too.
それも?
I opened my mouth to say it, but she interjected with something else.
私ね、記念とか言っていたけど、本当はそういう理由ではなくて、お試しというか、結果によっては自信につながるかなとか、 そんなこと思ったんだよね。
You mentioned confidence before, but what do you really mean?
だから、
Yu-chan started twirling her hair anxiously.
ゆうくんに会いに来た5人のお姫様、みんな美人だし、しかもお姫様だし。
Well, they don't really act like them. They don't really act like princesses, except like maybe Yorihime. Until you get to know her until you get to know her for 5 minutes and realize that she's a closeted pervert. So, you know, none of them act like princesses.
それでほら、現代のお姫様と言ったら AKG とか、そんな気がしない？
Probably not an apt comparison considering what happened, but sure. Before what happened, I guess, yeah. There's too many girls in the group to call them princesses, though. That was kind of a stupid thing to say. Oh, so I looked deeply into her surprised eyes. So was that the reason you started wearing makeup? I think I remember you saying that before.
うん。
And to be competitive with princesses, I thought makeup was the only option. Something told me so. Her schizophrenic imaginary friend. Wait, that's redundant. I couldn't believe it. I thought I understood her feelings, but it was still unexpected. But back then, I also said that you didn't need makeup. I heaved a sigh. You're so dumb, Yu-chan.
ああ、ひどい、その言い方。
Who would go as far as to attend an idol audition just for something like that? But the girl before my eyes, usually so timid and reserved, actually had a strong stubborn side too. And moreover, it was for me. No, yeah, I'm probably the dumbest one here. I mean, I can't even speak my mind. Yu-chan. I blurted that out, and she turned to me with slight surprise. I like you, Yu-chan. I finally said what I wanted to, and it seemed like time had come to a halt. But in reality, it didn't even take her a split second to speak.
本当に？
Yeah, really.
嬉しい。
Yu-chan's face broke out into a smile, and then reflected by the city lights, tears sparkled in her eyes. Her glimmering tears were utterly beautiful.
私も、ゆうくんのことが好きなんだ。その気持ちは前にも伝えたような、曖昧なような、なんだっけ。
Yeah, so I'm sorry it took me so long. Yu-chan shook her head gently and gave me a warm smile.
じゃあ。
She sounded like an excited schoolgirl who couldn't restrain her joy.
ゆうゆうコンビはやっぱり永遠だね。
Yes. Until the next route. So unfortunate. Yeah, I used to think that was kind of a joke, but hearing it now, I couldn't be happier.
ここでクイズでーす。
Huh?
このゆうゆうコンビですが、ゆうとゆうの間に挟まれている記号は何でしょうか？
What are you talking about? You duo. That's what the adults call us. Around us called us. That was because we used the nigh inseparable. We used to be nigh inseparable as kids. But still, the symbol in between you and you, I had never thought about it in a textual sense. Well, considering that your version of you is an ampersand, has an ampersand in between, and her version of you has a heart in between, you know, I'm the only one who can see the difference. A symbol?
そう。私は昔から、そう、子供の時から間に記号を挟んだつもりで口にしていたんだよね。
Like ampersand?
うぶー。正解は、これ。
She then used the fingers on both hands to make some kind of symbol. What, a rabbit? You know, you could have just pointed at the heart pendant around your neck.
ああ、ゆうくんわざと言ってない？
Maybe. No, I would never. Oh, a heart mark. I couldn't pick that up before.
そうでーす。悠々コンビって口にするたびに間にハートマークを挟んでいるつもりだったんだ。頭の中では。
In the textbooks, at least. Since forever?
そう。子供の時から。
I didn't even know what the heart shape symbolized then. She gazed nostalgically out over the city. That's kinda awesome. The girl I fell in love with had fallen for me since we were young. Unveiling that truth made my body tingle nicely. Simultaneously, I felt a sense of possession, like I would never let this girl go, not in a million years, at least not on this route. Sorry, I still can't remember our pact with each other.
ああ、うん。でもそれはしょうがないから、ちぎりっていうほどのことでもなかったし。
She had said that before as well. Can you at least tell me what happened?
うん。あのね、お母さんが他界した後、ゆうくん、よく一緒にいてくれたでしょ？
I nodded.
それで、ある日、なんだけど。
Yu-chan, cheer up. I'll take care of you now.
私はその言葉にとても驚いて。でもね、ゆうくんは続けてこう言ったんだ。
Oh wait, no, I meant to be bratty voice. And also, my parents are always gone, so like housework too. I'm pretty good at it.
家事？
Yeah, without your mom, I think it'll be hard for you. So I'll take care of you as much as I can.
ありがとう。じゃあそれ、約束してくれる？
Of course.
指切り。
Okay.
これで約束だよね。
Yep.
私本当にゆうくんに面倒見てもらっちゃおうっと。ゆうゆうコンビは永遠だもんね。ゆうくんがどういうつもりで言ったのか、その時の私にも分かってた。でも私はとても嬉しくて、それでなんだよね。立ち直ることができたのは。
Yu-chan returned to her bright, cheery self not long after that. I think I remember that just assuming that time had healed her wounds. But I was happy to hear that I was the main reason. But to be honest, I wasn't all that good at housework.
料理とか？
Seriously, we're opposites. You're the good cook here.
でも、そういう気持ち、意気込みだったんだよね。
Yeah. It wasn't something that happened in another world, so I remembered as she told me. Of course, I had no skills to back it up, but my feelings were authentic. I would take care of Yu-chan. So I never joined a club, but I didn't bother trying to sound pompous. I just shook my head.
ね、ゆうくんが忘れちゃうのも当然でしょ。だってゆうくんはそういうつもりで言ったわけじゃなかった。でも私はそんな風に捉えたくて。だって昔からずっと好きだったからね。
That same beautiful glimmer was back in her eyes. My chest tightened into a knot. Okay, I'll say it once more. I'll take care of you now, Yu-chan. Although, it's still true that I don't have any housekeeping skills.
いいえ。
She shook her head with a beaming smile and moved in close to me. Our bodies touched, making my heart race.
さっき改めて分かったもん。ゆうくんはやっぱり頼りになる。
The girl I made a pact with long ago looked at me with trusting eyes, and I felt elated to a higher degree than the high rises below.
お父さんからメール入ってる。しかも何通も。
Oh, yeah, we're pretty late.
ちょっとメール返しちゃうね。ここからだと家に着くのは。
I was sure we worried him sick, and not being in touch. But with everything that had transpired, and our moment in the park included, I had completely forgotten. Yu-chan seemed to feel the same way. Once we were out of the park, we walked toward the station, both a little shy after our emotional exchange. Few words were spoken. But that silence wasn't uncomfortable in the slightest. And I knew how thoughts were in sync, in that regard as well. And knowing that with confidence was definitely the result of us expressing our feelings to one another.
もう返信が来た。遅いだろって怒ってる。
Yeah, I wonder why. He also sent a text. I was counting on you. Oh, he's mad at me too.
でもメールの確認を忘れたのはむしろゆうくんがついていたからの気もするね。
Right. We giggled quietly to one another. That quiet laughter, where we were both on the same exact same page. It felt like we were closer than ever before. It felt light as a feather once we were back at our station. I was actually pretty nervous after the audition, but having told her my feelings and made it back here was such a relief. Yu-chan looked at the station building behind her.
出発の時は膝が震えていたくらいだけど、なんだか今は背中に羽でも生えたような気分。
But now my knees are shaking for a different reason. Oh wait, there's not a H scene yet. Yeah, me too.
I can fly って感じだよね。
Please don't actually try it.
さっきの公園でも下を見ながらそんなこと思ったんだ。
Only the princesses can do that, okay? Yeah, you're scaring me. We laughed at our pointless banter. After overcoming the huge obstacle, that was my confession, and before anything had really happened, we had broken a barrier between us. Our initial familiarity as childhood friends probably helped. We walked shoulder to shoulder as the mostly empty shopping district. ねえねえ、ゆうくん She unexpectedly came right up to my ear.
手繋いでもいいかな。
I hesitated for a second. But thinking about it, it hardly merited surprise. We were a couple now, technically. Technically. Yeah. My earlier shyness returned, and I clumsily held up my hand.
手が震えちゃう。
Yuchan grabbed her right wrist to her left hand. It was like she's suppressing some kind of nervous tick, but it was actually pretty cute. I touched her left hand with my right.
初めてだよね。手をつなぐのは。
Yeah, it is. No matter how close we were as kids, we wouldn't hold hands.
でもちょっと順番が逆かも。
Did we do something before?
だってご飯は作ってあげたことがあったから。
Oh, that was quite an affectionate move on her part, making food all for me like that.
あの時は確かにおばさんが体調不良で倒れていたけど、でも他の人だったらご飯なんて作らないもの。
Yeah. I tightened my grip on her hand, just like we were doing now. I was the only man alive who could taste her home-cooked meal. I knew it. A childhood friend is a strange thing.
不思議？
Yeah. It had been on my mind a lot lately, so I involuntarily vocalized it. Yeah, I mean, it's just different from normal friends.
友達以上恋人未満みたいなこと？
I think that's a little different as well. I looked at her with her hand still in mine. Such a familiar face looked different when parts of our bodies were touching. Like what you said before after your mother passed. If we were normal friends, I wouldn't have done what I did. So you really are, and have been a special person to me. I think that's what more than friends means.
今はもっと特別？
Oh, yeah. She laughed gleefully and squeezed my hand. Her palm was so soft against mine.
なんかいいね。こうして手をつなぐのって。
I nodded. I felt fulfilled like never before.
幼なじみが恋人になってすごく嬉しい。それは不思議な関係も素敵だけど、手もつなげないんじゃ寂しいものね。
You got that right.
好きな人に好きって言ってもらえる。それも自分を支える自信になってくれると思うし。
Her complex might run deeper than I thought. She had said this about herself not long ago. I'm just no good, huh? I had no idea what about her exactly was no good. No matter how strongly you feel about one another, I can't read her mind. At any rate, all I can do is this. Yu-chan,
何？
I like you.
私の自信も有頂天。
I don't know about that. Once we neared the house, I saw her dad standing out front. He saw us approach. He then looked puzzled. Oh, we're back. Sorry we're so late.
ただいま。
いや、それはいいんだが。
He looked down, then up, and down again. We were still holding hands. Yuchan noticed and held up our locked hands.
バリス。
こらこら、崩壊させるな。
これ、なんだと思う？
アニメの真似ではないのは確かだろう。結局、付き合うことになったのか。そう。そりゃよかったな。しかし、帰りがこんなに遅くなるとは、ちと感心せんな。
あ、それは。
I'm sorry. We were just talking for so long. If we told him exactly what happened, that would only increase his concern. No shit, you didn't call the cops. You chance saw me bowing my head and caught on.
ごめんなさい。夜景が綺麗で、つい。
まあ、反省してるならいい。で、どうだったんだ、オーディションは。
もう全然ダメだった。
お、そっか。
なんで嬉しそうなの？
なんでって。これで道を誤らないで済んだじゃないか。
もともとアイドルになるつもりなかったし。
Yeah, especially not after what happened. What? I didn't say that.
まあ、それもそうだがな。しかし、見る目ないな、審査員も。
He laughed at first, but then grimaced in irritation. His fatherly feelings on the matter seemed complex.
夕飯は食べてから帰ってきたのか？
Both our stomachs growled simultaneously.
じゃあ、今から何か作ってやる。ゆうくんも来なさい。
Yes, thank you so much.
で、何が食べ言うな。お前、化粧が崩れて愉快な顔になってるぞ。
Oh, yeah, it is. She fled to the back like a bat out of hell.
ゆうくん、気がつかなかったのか？あれか、優しい配慮か。
No, it was dark, and I was kind of bashful in the train, and didn't look at her much.
ああ、なるほど。
I thought something was amiss when we were walking, so that was probably it.
しかし、泣いたのか？言うなったら。
It was a really emotional moment for us. She actually cried because of the incident with the producer, but I also wasn't lying.
ああ、あの子は本当昔から君に惹かれていたみたいだったからな。今後ともユーナを頼んだよ、ユウくん。
I will. 5:26. We told everyone about us the next day, and my parents as well.
あら、こちらの指切りというちぎりも意外に効力が強かったのね。正直残念だけど、まあユータの気持ちがそうならしょうがないわね。
Well, you won't be disappointed next route. Lucy said her piece, which they were likely all thinking as well. They congratulated us and nullified their own pacts.
やはり昔からの親しい男女がくっつくのが収まりも良いというものでござろうな。なんかルーチェにならなくてほっとしてない？いえいえ、めっそうもない。ま、そういう気持ちもなきにしもあらずというところではございますが。
Well, Dora, look, all I'm gonna say is you've had 5 routes of preparation, so you're gonna have to ready yourself for the next route. So you definitely are then.
それでも似合いの2人だと思いますぞ。 いえ、これは本当に。
Really now?
これが嘘をついている顔に見えますか？
No, definitely not. I can't really read bad expressions.
相変わらず可愛くない小僧っ子でござる。
Dora tried to sound angry, but was cheerful underneath.
昔から言っていた悠々コンビだけど、とうとう本物になったわね。
悠々コンビは永遠なのです。
ま、不肖の息子だけど、どうか見捨てないでやってくれよ。
That works both ways. What do you mean by that?
永遠ですから。
She repeated it herself and puffed out her chest cutely. A warm and joyful ambience blanketed the room afterwards. We were a couple now, but Yu-chan still had her job, obviously. Naturally, I swung by the honeydew to see her. Up until recently, I had been here almost every night for dinner, but I didn't come for any other reason. I wasn't even the biggest fan of wagashi, but these days, I almost lived here. I waited until Shirahase looked unoccupied. Do you mind if I just order a small bowl of red bean soup?
ここ最近はいつものことだろ。
Well, no, I suppose not.
うちはあくまで喫茶店だからね。別に文句はないさ。
That was true. I mostly came here for meals at night, so I didn't always think of it as a cafe. I stared longingly at Yu-chan as she worked. Staring at her with my chin propped up on my hand wasn't anything new, but the feelings that came along with it were so different now. Well, it made sense. I mean, he's the person I cherish most now.
いらっしゃいませ。2名様ですね。こちらの席にどうぞ。
I was that amazing girl's boyfriend. It was still hard for me to grasp.
マスター、お汁粉を2つお願いします。
はいよ。
She came to relay the order, then glanced at me quickly.
どうしたの？ぼーっとして。
Embarrassed that she caught me, I just shook my head.
変なゆうくん。
She smiled at me, then made her way back to the table. It may have been a delusion of love, but she seemed to have a giddy spring in her step.
どうするんだい？二人のことは。
What do you mean by that?
店内ではいつも知らんぷりしてるだろう。今後は？
No. I think we'll keep up appearances.
そう。俺の方は別に構わんと思うけどね。
No, but your wallet would. We don't want it to push customers away.
なんだか、それこそアイドルみたいな話だな。恋愛禁止令なんていうのがあるんだろ？
No, okay, here's the thing, right? Here's when they can stop hiding their relationship with each other. It's when they become husband and wife. Right? Because if it's only boyfriend and girlfriend, guys are like jealous, first of all. Second of all, they can be like, there's still a chance they could break up. If they're married, the chance is lessened. And even if the guy was jealous enough, it'd be too much work. Right? He wouldn't think there's still a chance after he finds out that Yu-chan, that Yuta and Yuna are married, right? Maybe a little, but once again, too much work. But even you said it yourself, that you're getting more customers.
まあ、そうだがね。
The poster girl and her power to attract customers. There were two men in the shop even now. Well, I was one of them.
ただまあ、いずれ夫婦で切り回すのであれば。冗談だよ、冗談。前にも言ったが、 おっと。
He cut himself off and went back to work. Marriage, huh? Yeah, that might be nice. Well, to be perfectly honest, I had virtually no idea what kind of job I would be getting in the future. I just know I want to work. I guess that's normal. But I needed to take care of Yu-chan. With such a lofty idea of supporting a woman, I couldn't just be a couch potato. But this shop, they started it together as husband and wife, right? I caught a glimpse of Yuna's father, working purely for a wage. He still visited his wife's grave regularly. Of course, on the day she died, but also every month, on the same day. So this cafe, it was the fruit of their mutual effort. But before it was even consumed, she was taken in an accident. Maybe that was why the lady working part-time at this cafe never really made an impression. But on the day before the shop opened, I stood before their remodeled house with a deep sense of pride in my childish heart. Her mother said to me on that day,
お店を持つのが長年の夢だったのよ。だからこれはおばさんたちの努力の結晶よ。
Many years had passed since then. But a next of kin was preserving that fragmented dream even now. Yu-chan came over to me once the customers were all gone.
ゆうくんたら今日はずっと私のこと見ていたよね。
Oh, sorry. Does it bother you?
気になるというか、なんか体が熱くなる気がする。
こらこら、親の前で生々しく身もだえるんじゃない。
ほら、気温がぐーんと上がってきたから。
そうか？
うん、だってファッション誌の中の人とかもうキャミソール着てるもん。
そりゃファッション誌だからだろう。
Sure.
夏にはまだ遠いけどね。
はあ、そうだな。夏にはまだ遠い。
The reason he got so solemn was because his wife died in September. But running a shop as husband and wife is so nice. I tried to sound as cheerful as I could.
お、とうとうその気になったか。
Well, I doubt I could be a professional wagashi maker though. It's called training.
まあ、さっき言おうとしたけど、別に跡取りが欲しいわけじゃないからさ。とはいえ、本当にその気になった時は、俺もサポートするよ。
Okay.
夫婦か。
Yu-chan fidgeted with a bright red face.
また身もだえてるし。
なんかいいよね。想像すると。あ、あなたやめて。仕入れの金に手をつけるのだけは。なんて。
What? That doesn't sound like a pleasant future.
それは冗談だけど、でも2人でお店を作ったりして、それだとのれん分けってことになるかな。いいなあ、そういうの。ゆうくんと2人で二人三脚。うんふふふ。
He laughed mischievously, and I almost couldn't restrain my own laughter.
もしそうなったらケーキ屋さんにしようね。
おいおい、それじゃあのれん分けにならないぞ。
私やっぱりケーキの方が好きなんだよね。
ま、どっちでもいいけどな。
あ、そうだ。ケーキを焼くの、あれっきりになっていたね。また、実験台になってもらってもいい？
Oh, yeah, no problem.
今夜にでも？
Sure.
へへー、腕が鳴る。
Yuchan pumped her arms back and forth, like she was running in place.
いらっしゃいませ。
ユーナは甘ったれだからな。何でもいいから一緒がいいってところなんだろうな。まあ、あいつのそんな気持ち、負担にならない程度に受け止めてやってくれよ。
I nodded. But I didn't feel burdened in the slightest by it. Yuchan definitely could be like a clingy, independent, yet sweet kid at times. She's... her cheery voice reflected that usually too. But having a girl like her depend on me and count on me, I didn't need to rationalize that to be happy. That was honestly how I felt.